Hey everybody, we're back with another Christmas spoiler review. Uh, Today I will be covering the Nicolas Cage film Family Man or The Family Man. And I love Nicolas Cage films. It's like it's uh, maybe other than maybe like The Wicker Man, uh, uh, but besides that, I think like every other Nicolas Cage film I thoroughly enjoyed. I love his acting. He just like a perfect example of an actor just going balls to the wall 110%, what you have to do as an actor just to really make, if you believe it, the audience will definitely believe it. That's why I was taught in acting school and acting classes with my acting classes. And man, Nicolas Cage is like a list, or at least great, a perfect example of giving it your all in a performance. I love his role in this. Uh, uh, Before we get into it, please check me out in the links in the description below. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, of course. Hit that like button, notification bell. That would be great. Um, but yeah, Family Man. Uh, Starring Nicolas Cage as Jack Campbell, Tia Leone as Kate Reynolds, uh, Don Cheadle as Cash, uh, and we got Jeremy Piven as Arnie. So, uh, Jack, the movie starts off with back in the late '80s with Jack and I kind of like this because like it's depicted as like in the late '80s, 1988, as a matter of fact, year I was born, and it doesn't come off as like a '80s time because like no, they just dressed up like normal clothes because a lot of films depicted in the '80s they usually, hey crystals, uh, they usually have like these outlandish clothes that's like super like colorful, like outrageously colorful. Like they threw a box of crayons in a closet, and whoever came out is what was the style. No, they just in average clothes. Then of course, I think the cinematography now I'm thinking about it, is really really I respect the hell out of it because you might think of it as drab in some cases, but I think that's the whole purpose of it, in my opinion. Especially in the beginning, where it seems like, you know, it's just like a cold uh, departure in a way. There's a lot of scenes like this. It seems like this, it's crisp cold in a lot of things. I kind of like it for that. Uh, it, you rarely get like in color. The only time you actually get like just warm, vibrant colors is usually when he's in certain scenes with like family oriented stuff, uh, as opposed as to, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just pointing out like the cinematography because I rarely discuss things like that about like the color aspect sometimes. There's moments of like you know uh I would say muted colors, but just like very cold colors as opposed to certain warm colors and the dynamics. And it's pretty much like a what if kind of movie. It's kind of like Marvel's What If. Jack is going on this internship in London for this business thing, kind of situation. And uh, him and Kate were college, boyfriend and girlfriend. Uh, for some reason, she waited until this last moment to ask him to like, oh, can you just can we not can you not leave? And it's like, you know, uh, trying to change his mind. And of course, he's saying that our love is strong. You know, like we'll get through this, and I'll be back, kind of situation. So they share a kiss, and he leaves off to London. Fast forward 13 years later, he's like a bachelor at this firm, about to close a deal on this kind of merger. And so like, he just, slept with some kind of hot model kind of, thing, cool penthouse, the whole shebang. And he leaves for work and he gets a note from his secretary about his long time, his former girlfriend years ago reaching out about something. She never clarified what the specific reason is. When you realize what the specific reason is, you'll probably laugh yourself silly. But he ponders for a moment, but thanks to some encouragement from his boss, he's like, just let the past die, kill it if you have to, kind of attitude. So he just dismisses the note. He decides to walk home, but he stops off at a convenience store where he sees Don Cheadle's character Cash uh, about to rob the place, but he intervenes uh, and then walks the guy out. And I kind of like this because, like, in most films, where you have like this, like, like this stuffy upper, high society kind of guy, you don't usually see intervening in on the behest of like or a situation like this. But I guess that's the whole point because he's trying to tell Cash like, oh, like, you shouldn't be like, doing things like that because you're gonna make a mistake that you're gonna regret. And he's telling him like, uh, maybe you need to find a shelter and you know and things like that. Like, oh, you trying to save me, Jack? It's like, well, what do you need? Like, oh, I have what I need. Like, oh, it must be great to be you then. And this is kind of like a dickish thing I've seen in certain movies, usually Hallmark kind of stuff, because they play to that kind of tune more often than not. But he just like very vaguely and creepily tell Jack like, just so you know, you brought this on yourself. See you later, Jack. And then next day, Jack wakes up in bed with Kate, two kids, one small kindergartner, maybe first grader, named Annie, and he got his little son. I forgot the little boy's name. Josh. And so he's freaking out, obviously. He runs out of the house. This is Christmas morning, mind you. And so he dips out, goes all the way back to his high rise and his office. Nobody recognizes him. They think he's crazy. And then he bumps into Cash, who's driving his sports car, and explains to him like what he did back there at the convenience store was like a big deal, and like, oh, it's impressive on the higher ups. Clearly, kind of establishing that Cash is some kind of angel or something. It's never really fully explained. It's left, intentionally vague of what his job is, because it seems like he's like an angel testing people. I guess like a morality test kind of situation. One more, he's like, playing as a clerk, trying to, see if this girl buying this will give him back. Like, oh, you gave me the wrong change here. Like, here's the proper money kind of thing. And she doesn't do that. She just like goes off and, it's like, you really gonna judge a teenage girl to like, what's, her morality is all over the damn place. It's teenagers. But then the early convenience store, he's trying to test this these clerks about like try to see if they're going to do the right thing, and of course they placate to a very racist stereotype of Asian people running a convenience store, but that used to be a thing in some aspects, so it can't be. It's not totally wrong, but still kind of a stereotype. So he basically is letting Jack know, like, oh, you're going to, uh, uh, you did a good thing, but you're going to be tested because I guess he came across like, oh, like, because he said like, oh, I have what you want. It could just mean this is where the little issue comes into play for me right here. He can't just say he's comfortable. It's like yeah, sure. He turns out in the end they were right because he was missing something in his life, but at that moment in time he's content. It's like but it's just like as he states later on in the film, like you can't just go into people's lives and turn them upheaval, but he's gonna get a glimpse, pretty much putting him through a what if, Marvel's what if scenario, and it's kind of played towards like the also the iconic Christmas movie that I reviewed last year, It's a Wonderful Life, one of the best Christmas films ever made, even to this day. Check out that review, by the way. But if you haven't seen the film, watch it, then go check out my review of that film. But basically, just going through a life like, what if he, unlike George Bailey, where in that case he just didn't exist, Jack here just chose a different scenario where Jack decides to stay with Kate rather than go off to London. So in this scenario, he lived a life where he didn't pursue his ambitions in terms of his career. He stayed, had a simple life in suburbia, selling tires at Kate's father's place. He was a manager of, and he has 2 children, and just live a nice life in suburbia. And she's like a nonprofit lawyer. And so he's trying to struggle with, like, you're going to struggle. It's like you're just being dumped in what he seemed like somebody else's life, but you later realize, no, that's this is him if he chose a different scenario. Then yeah, his daughter Annie pretty much helping him out with certain information that he's just not privy to, because as far as he's concerned, he never lived this life, so he doesn't know everything. He doesn't know these people he called friends. He doesn't know about the bowling league or any of these home videos that actually has him and all these pictures and videos and stuff like that, doing all these parties and functions and all this stuff. He doesn't know this stuff. She's pretty much helping him out, like telling him about the anniversary, which he ends up forgetting, about picking him up in school, dropping him off. I love the little girl here. If you don't recognize the little girl, if you watch X-Men First Class and Mystique's chained up in the back of the truck and she transformed into the little girl, that's the same girl, just so you know. A little FYI. That blew my mind too when I was rewatching this. And she's very cute. I love. She kind of talks like Frankenstein in Adam Sandler's movie Big Daddy, just like that little space impediment, that little talk, the talk like that. It was like Microsoft went down 3 points. That kind of talk. That was really funny. Can you believe she's only 28 and she's married to this model or something like that right now? That's shocking, and I feel old now. Uh, and Jack is trying to adjust because he doesn't know how long this glimpse is going to last. And according to Cash, his last words, how long it's going to last until he figures out basically what he's really looking for. So it's like, well, wow, that's really fucking helpful. Uh, so he's starting to slowly adjust and getting used to the whole idea. You got Jeremy Piven, it's supposed to be like his best friend, giving him sage advice, because he thinking like, oh, I can, sleep with this random neighborhood, suburban wife who's apparently into me, and like he's telling him like, don't fuck this up, how. And I like this little. It's a sage advice for a lot of people out there, not just guys, but everybody, whoever, how you identify or what's your sexual orientation. This is sound advice for any of you guys. If you have like a rock solid relationship with a person who's good to you, uh, a good person, and yeah, especially if you got a family together, don't ruin that. Because as he puts it, many people will give their left nut to be with a woman like Kate, and that's true in all kind of relationships. You don't mess it up for anything or anyone. Uh, uh, and Jack thinks like, oh, that doesn't apply to me, but he couldn't get into full details. But he figured like, well, I'm living somebody else's life, so, uh, like, so this whole cheating thing doesn't really apply to me because I'm not really married to her. I'm just stuck here. But he come to soon to realize that him and Kate, he's, which is ironic because you can see the flip effect by the end of the film. Because in the beginning, when he getting that note from his secretary, uh, he thinking like, oh, she's just calling because she's feeling a little nostalgia. She want to rekindle old flames and all this other stuff, in which I'm not interested in anymore because I'm reached to a certain status, which he still try to keep a hold of that. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too throughout this whole glimpse thing, where he's going to the store with the family, uh, and he's seeing this very pricey sports coat is like $2,400. I was like, boy, like I don't care if I had like a the kind of bank account this guy had. I am kind of frivolous, or at least when I spend my money on something, like it better be worth the money I spend for. I would say frugal. I'm a little frugal with my money, and like I don't spend it on like unnecessary bullshit. I don't just I would like to have like a nice suit, but I can get like a nice suit at any general kind of store that's like at the most I probably spend on like on a suit is maybe $200 worth, whatever, at the most. I'm not spending like an obscene amount of. If it reaches a $500 worth or more for a suit, I'm not wasting money on that. I rarely like get dressed like that as it is, you know, unless it's like I'm going to some kind of wedding or funeral or something like that that requires a suit or something like a very dressy kind of outfit. I can spend at least well, I don't know about a rental, but like if I go buy myself a good looking suit, $200 is probably the most I could spend on it. And I don't care how rich I might be. I was like, I'm not wasting that amount of money. I don't care if it's Armani or it's like rich platinum leather from Egyptian cotton bullshit. No, absolutely fucking not. Maybe this excuse me, the tourist in me, because like, we're very like finicky when it comes to like spending our own money like that. But that's just how I feel. But it was like a nice little gesture. This is like I like this dynamic between Jack and Kate because this is like a real relationship. When you see this play out, even though Jack's not being Jack, he experiencing a true relationship, the ups and downs, the arguments, and then the making ups and trying to get a quick, sex session in while the kids are finally asleep, which little kids rarely are or rarely want to be asleep. And you try to get a little quickie in, that kind of thing. It's us. I back earlier in the year, I made a spoiler review of the Keanu Reeves Winona Ryder film, Destination Wedding. And I said many times, I think that is the most uh, real relationship in a film, or at least so far as like, I want to say meet cute or whatever, but it's like people getting to know each other, hooking up, and all this. It's like it's not like those Hallmark Lifetime crap or the slocky rom coms that you generally see. The writer, went off script and did something that's extremely unique. That it's like, yeah, people more often than not think that way, and I really like it for that. I really like that movie. I'm encouraging you guys to check out Destination Wedding because it's very funny but very real. It's just nice. You pretty much just focus on this couple. Here in Family Man, I think this is like the next best thing, but more so like, no, you're in the thick of the marriage now. And this is like not only a real relationship, but a real marriage. And I really enjoyed it because you actually get people arguing about actual things. It's not like certain movies with people in a relationship and they, you know, fight over remedial stuff that most people will get over, or is not that big of a deal, but heightens for the sake of drama. No, she will be legitimately upset that he just left out all of a sudden in the missing Christmas morning, and the kids open their present. She would be legitimately upset that he forgot the anniversary and didn't give her a present, and then of course making up for that by taking her out on a very fancy dinner. And even though it's pricey, he's like, no, I'm taking my baby out on our anniversary, damn the fucking cost. And it's like, and she's like, she know like that, like you're not getting off that easy, slick. But it's like, you're warming up though, that kind of thing. And just having discussions about like, do you imagine our lives being this way, years ago? uh uh it's like, like I have certain doubts too, even though you might seem like I'm so sure of everything. And then even though they had like a blow up in the store over that $2,000 coat, she went on her way to buy a knockoff version, which she comes clean right away about that. As he opened up the gift, it's like, I saw how you really love that coat. You looking really good and handsome in that coat. I found a knockoff version of that. I know it's not exactly, but I just want to make sure. I know how much you liked it. We was arguing and stuff like that. I made sure like I got you something for our anniversary, and it's like, and he got choked up. I'm pretty sure a week ago he would have been like, ugh. It's like, knockoff, but it's like the effort she put in that, and she paid attention, because you got to pay attention to your significant other and things, certain cues that they're looking at a certain thing, and it's like, they couldn't get it at that moment. You go out how like the look on their face is worth a lot to see, like this person who loves you so much completely went out of their way. They couldn't get the exact thing, they got the next best thing that's fairly close to it. And like, and it probably still spent a pretty penny, but they thought you were worth it. That meant a lot, and you got choked up. And I really like that woman. It's like, oh my god, this woman just spent. I really wish they kind of, well, I don't know how you can fit in like, how much that knockoff cost, but I'm pretty sure maybe she probably maybe spent like at least $1,000 on it at the very most. But I'm not sure. But I guess the cost didn't really matter. But the fact that she paid attention to his needs and like, all that stuff, it was like that resonated. That really resonated. It kind of remind me. It's a little. I haven't done this in a while. I need to go back to my Patreon and do a personal, one of my personal, in-depth, exclusive videos about my personal life, because I haven't done that in a while. But it's a little. This kind of reminds me just now about like my ex-girlfriend, and I kind of regret it now. I even read it like the day after that happened, but uh, she it was pretty sure it was Sweetest Day when this happened, and uh, she bought me this, those little Hershey Kisses things. She bought me like a very big giant size thing of it, and and I couldn't have a laugh. I liked it, but like I didn't really. I joked about it instead of just acknowledge the and appreciate it. What she did. It's like most guys will get like watches or some new clothes or or whatever from that girl. But no, my girl, no, she she got me a giant Hershey's kiss. It's kind of still making me laugh about it now because it's so out of fucking nowhere. It was like, because it's so out of nowhere, it makes it that more special. But it's like I kind of wish I would got made more of a appreciation of it. But damn, that doesn't still make me laugh. But it's kind of like this. It's like she thought outside the box, and that makes it that more special sometimes when your significant other go outside the box. It doesn't go the same route almost everybody else does. So yeah. Anyway, uh, as soon as he feels like Jack is getting settled into this kind of life now, he's getting used to it. He's looking after the kids and spending time at this job and spend time with his wife, and then like he gets suddenly a new customer coming into the tire shop to get his tire fixed is his boss from his former life, and then he's like, oh, this is my opportunity to get back to my old life. So this is where the moment where he's like trying to have his cake and eat it too, where it's like I can have like a rich, my rich high life, kind of, like, high rise penthouse kind of life, and the wife and kids, all at once. So he's, hobnobbing with this, his old boss, and showing off his like, business skills, and he goes to him like for an interview and utilizing his prior knowledge on the his boss and former co-worker who inadvertently just have his old position now since he didn't choose that life. This guy has that position instead, and of course, they're thinking about utilizing him because he has like that business mindset that he just using it to his advantage because they don't know him anymore. But he's showing all the perks to Kate, and she's like, "Nah, it's like we're fine in our life. We're fine in suburbia, and like you can't commute because it's like you be wasting like 3 hours almost every day, and you can barely go to see your kids." So it's like you can't have everything. Sometimes you can't have everything. Sometimes you have like one choice or the other, and you make the best decision you could at the moment that is handed to you, and that's all you can hope for. Um, he goes to a convenience store to pick up some uh, salt for the ground for the ice for around his sidewalk, and where he bumps into Cash again, and Cash let him know that pretty soon you'll be going back to your old life. Jack doesn't want to go back now. He's happy the way he has it, and he tried to force his way staying up, but he ends up falling asleep. He's back to his old life. He It's like, forget this, job. I don't care. I want to find Kate. And and he looks up the message she left, and he tracks her down at this apartment, and she's like a wealthy attorney who's on her way off to Paris, and she only called because he has some. She still has some of his old stuff that he never picked up. I guess it was in storage or something. And now here's the flip effect. Now he's that same person he thought she would be at the beginning of the film. Now he's that stereotypical thing that he was accusing her of might be. He's asking her, you ever wonder what life would have been like, with us and that kind of thing. And, would you want to get a coffee? Just trying to right the mistake that he made all those years ago. Which you think like, I mean, it's up to you whether or not you thought he made the right decision right now, but it's right then, but it was a right decision he thought of being right at that moment. It's not like he made a bad choice. He was trying to make a life for himself. And of course, we all would like to make always the right choice every time we come across a certain obstacle. But you never know. Sometimes you fold, sometimes you get the courage to make that leap. It's not bad one way or the other. It's just like it's depending how the individual will handle it. And it doesn't make you any less of a person which way you go. So he chases after her at the airport. Kind of cliche in certain romantic comedies kind of situation. So he convinces her to stay, and she doesn't make the same choice he made. She decides, no, I'm not going to take this plane. I'm going to stay here with Jack, have that coffee, and the movie ends with them just chatting and laughing and rekindling. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a kind of underrated Nicolas Cage film because it's very, very good. I love everybody's performance in this. But the big thing is kind of like a knock. Well, two things. One, what happened to the children? So they just not exist because whatever timey-wimey magical BS Don Cheadle or whoever the angels are involved in this, kind of, like I said, it's a what if. There's like a alternate reality where it happened, but it's like, do they just existed but not exist anymore? That's weird. Like, I guess you're thinking too much on it, I guess. But then second thing, Don Cheadle's part in and of itself, it's not very clear he's an angel. It's very highly likely he is, but you never express anything about like what his duties are. You're left to interpret that he's just testing people's moralities, I guess. But like, while you're effing with this guy who just stuck his neck out to avoid you getting murdering somebody he thought you was gonna murder, or being landed in jail, he did like a good thing, a good deed, and you reward him by altering his life altogether. It panned out good. You don't know that. You don't know his life beforehand. He could have been just content. Sometimes you're content with the life you have. What if he, had the family life and he bumped into Don Cheadle and says, like, no, I'm fine with the life I had. Oh, it must be great to be you. Then give him this, fancy pantsy lifestyle as a what if instead. Like, that kind of thing is kind of like, kind of weird / confusing to me. But it didn't ruin my enjoyment of it. You still get the purpose of it. Just, certain decisions a person make do determine like, how things shape out. But Jack come to realize what he really wants because he was alone. He doesn't, after he had his life with his family and kids, he realized, I don't want to be that kind of guy anymore. We're just sleeping with, I know how it sounds, but just sleeping with like one night stand hot models in a penthouse, this bachelor life. It's fun when you're a young 20-something, but eventually you want to settle down, have kids and do all these holidays and birthdays and school plays and parent teacher conferences, and having your kids with like schoolwork and graduation, and growing old together, that kind of thing. So but yeah, this movie is really good. I highly recommend it. But if you have seen Family Man, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. If you have not, check it out. Even though I probably just spoiled it for you, but like I said, that's why I got these spoiler things on the thumbnail, so you'll know it's a spoiler review. So it's like but if you're interested, I didn't could tell the entire thing, but you can get the nitty gritty of the film for yourself. So definitely check it out, see if it's for you. But like I said, it's Nick Cage. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna enjoy it. And when you're hiring Nick Cage, you're going to expect full Nick Cage. It's like, just do your Nick Cage thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to pay out. But anyway, I will see you guys a little bit later for an MCU ranking of Phase 4. So it's like a part 2 to my Phase 1 through 3 that I did last year. So stay tuned for that. But